What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Last Word Music Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Caverts, with Dimitri and Chuck. And tonight we're
What's
bringing you guys
up?
a special video. It's a New York Jets dance party.
Let's go.
Actually, no, that's not what we're doing. Unfortunately,
Mackay, back to
we
you.
are going to be doing We're going to be doing a different type of video for you guys. We're going to be taking, each of us is picking an artist. I think you can tell who mine is. Probably tell who Dimitri's is, albeit a blurry
Charlie
picture.
didn't-
Charlie's a
I
bum,
can't
so
change-
he
I
doesn't
can't
know how to
change
use a
my
computer.
I can't change my background.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Charlie picked Eminem. I picked
But
Kanye.
who else would I be picking?
Dimitri went with Travis Scott, and we're going to be comparing their discographies, debating which rapper has the better discography.
That's right.
All right, so where do you guys want to start?
I mean, I'll start. I'll give some like opening remarks for Travis, just like set the record straight before y'all two go. I feel like obviously Travis hasn't been in the game nearly as long as Eminem or Kanye West, but what I want to like make a point for Travis's discography ever since you could count Al Faro in this, which was his like first like super rough mixtape, like way back, like his first ever thing. And I mean, if you want to count that, you could like hit a little bit like on that. But I went with starting from Days Before Rodeo, all the way up to I guess Jack Boys, which is kind of like a label collaboration album, So whether or not you consider it part of his personal discography, but I think his main thing is consistency. Other than Huncho Jack Huncho, which
Hey man, Quavo ruined that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Quavo ruined that whole album.
it's hard to carry an album with just Quavo, but
Peep the last vid to see my hatred on Quavo.
yeah, it's been really consistent. I don't think he's really had a bad project. I think he's already got two future classics in the vault with Astroworld and Rodeo. Birds in the Trap is really solid. Not, it's not at that like level of excellence that those other two are, but it's still a really enjoyable album. And Days Before Rodeo is really underrated. So I think while his discography isn't as big, he doesn't have as many trash piles as certain artists do.
Many duds. Chuck, you want to respond to that?
Is that a reference to some of Eminem's albums?
I will not divulge that information.
Because it seems to me like Eminem has more good albums than Travis Scott.
Oh, really?
I mean, Eminem has three.
No, yeah.
I guess three is
He
a
has
bigger
more
number than two.
He has more than 3 good albums. His discography actually tells a story about his life, Scotty. Because you kind of got like the late 1990s Eminem with the Slim Shady LP, where he's just like, he's very
Really
in your
good.
face, and it's like repulsive, and he says like, he's got kind of like a really funny cadence during it. His flows kind of move in and out of the production very well. And then you got the Marshall Mathers LP1, where it's just dark. It's just a dark album, and it's just all about like, just like the dark side of life. And it's got probably one of my favorite Eminem hooks ever on the song "Kill You."
Yeah, Kill You might be my favorite song in the album.
It's a fantastic song. And then you got the Eminem Show, which we reviewed. Haven't seen the review yet. Go check it out.
Yes, sir.
And then you got his first trash album, Encore.
Keep in mind, Charlie said first, so
Yeah,
I think that goes to show for his.
Chuck,
There's
I want
only
to help
2.
you out here, all right? Encore on Metacritic got a 64 out of 100, 7.5 out of 10 user score. So
really?
not quite trash. Not quite trash. Yeah.
Okay, well, if they didn't
More
think it was-
defensible than you think.
I will definitely say it is a noticeable dip in quality, though.
It is. No, it's a
as
definitely
opposed to-
noticeable dip in quality. However, it did bring about Mockingbird, probably one of his most emotional tracks ever, which, I appreciate. It's one of my favorite Eminem songs. Relapse was pretty good. Obviously, still a dip in quality from the first. Recovery was great, in my opinion. It was definitely not quite a return to form.
Hold on. Pause. You said Recovery was great?
I did think
Great.
Recovery was great.
My man. If you had said like pretty solid or like good, I would have let it slide, but I can't say great.
I'd say 7 out of 10 for Recovery, bro.
I mean, Do you consider 7 out of 10 great?
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
What? My man, what? So Kamikaze is like, according to our rubric,
Hey
77
man,
out of 10.
did I say Kamikaze was great?
I mean, we gave it like 77
Chuck,
out of 10.
I think you gave it better than a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. I give it like in this. I don't. It doesn't matter.
You gave it a 77.
I did give it a 77.
Yeah.
Hey man, I guess I think Kamikaze. Hey man, I mean I don't lie to myself.
So what's the next album in there after?
Marshall Mathers LP2, bro.
That was a good comeback.
Yeah.
That was a great comeback album, a great return to form. And then we can skip the next album. Kamikaze.
What was the next album? Hold on. For all our viewers out there. What was the next album?
I don't want to talk about Revival, bro. We can skip Revival.
Oh,
Skip
it was
it, Chuck.
Revival. Tell us about that album, Chuck.
Honestly, it
A porterhouse. Honestly, a porterhouse.
it was a porterhouse. Yeah, exactly. It was a porterhouse, bro.
Yeah.
It was.
No. It was an outhouse.
There are some things to be said about Revival that maybe we'll say in this video, maybe will be said in a future video that I can possibly defend what Eminem was trying to do. But
Oh no, man.
let's just say that the final product didn't turn out how he thought it would. But
I would argue with that, Chuck. Eminem has repeatedly defended the album, even in his more recent albums. So I think it turned out just how he wanted it. I just don't think the rest of the world appreciated it the same level that he did.
I don't think we have the same like IQ. I don't think we have a high enough IQ to like comprehend what was going on in that album.
he's just mad that people didn't understand the message of Revival.
Got like iconic tracks like River with Ed Sheeran.
River was trash.
Oh, it was incredible.
So it was
Walk on Water, incredible.
Walk on Water was fine. Just
Chuck,
because Tyler said it was bad doesn't mean it was bad.
He said it was bad.
Consequence of Sound gave the album a F on a letter grade. Got a 50 out of 100 Metacritic, 4.3 out of 10. Any decent music.
I believe it.
Yep, 2 out of 5 stars. The Guardian. So not the most positive reviews there, but
I believe it. I never said it was a good album. I wanted to skip it and just go straight to Kamikaze.
Oh, but we weren't going to let you do that, Chuck. You can't just gloss over it. Albums like Revival.
I think if we're gonna talk about to any length Huncho Jack Huncho, I think Revival is.
All right, bet we'll talk
game
about
as well.
Jack Huncho then.
Because that album is.
You saw our Kamikaze debate. They didn't like it, but I thought it was a pretty good project from him. And then Music to Be Murdered By, which was actually the first review done on this channel. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But I thought it was very solid. After listening to it a little bit more, it kind of exceeded my initial impressions of it. I caught a few more double entendres that I missed, a couple more bars that I missed, some overall theme that I didn't really catch in my first listen to. So yeah, Music to Be Murdered By was solid, and I can only hope that he continues on that path in his next album.
Okay. I do want to bring up one thing. Just to touch on Days Before Rodeo real quick, since I want to say that, it was basically his pretty much like his first solo commercial release, other than Al Faro, I guess. But, Days Before Rodeo was where like the Travis discography really started. And, for being his first body of work, I'm on the site Album of the Year, and the user score was 75, which is really solid. Pretty comparable to some of.
That's great.
Pretty comparable to some of Eminem's later work.
It's later work.
Yeah.
Talking about earlier work, dog.
I know. I'm saying the fact that Days Before Rodeo was rated higher than some of Eminem's later work, and it being Travis's first revival. Yeah.
Scotty,
Don't want to beat a dead horse.
West.
All right, Kanye West. So I just want to let you guys know, I actually wasn't planning on doing Kanye West initially because I thought it would be unfair to Travis Scott and Eminem.
Maybe
I think his discography is a little bit loaded here. I mean no disrespect.
Trash.
Chuck, the way I see Eminem's discography, he had 3 really good albums, probably classics, in Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, and Eminem Show. And then after that, it's just a bunch of bland, like there's an occasionally good album that stands out from the pack a little bit, but isn't like top notch, and it was just kind of, I guess, 19 years of blandness to me. And so that takes us to Kanye West, a guy who has completely revolutionized the hip-hop industry, a guy who had, I don't know, all I'm seeing is greens here on his albums on Metacritic, Chuck. College Dropout, first album, 87 out of 100. That's a classic. We reviewed it. We both loved it. Late Registration, Dimitri.
That album is
Late
good.
Registration, Dimitri, that's your favorite Kanye album? You put it like what, top 5 hip-hop albums of all time?
Yeah.
85 out of 100. We love that one. Graduation, a slight dip. Again, a very, very good album.
What was the score? I'm curious.
79 out of 100. Still very good.
And is this off Metacritic?
Yes, which is actually a higher grade than any album that Eminem has ever released. So
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
79? Oh my God! No way.
They're smoking.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good segue into saying that we shouldn't totally base this off Metacritic reviews and stuff like that because there have been some pretty sus ratings of albums over the years with Metacritic and stuff like that where it's user.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is not the user score. This is the critic score.
The critic score too.
They compile like an average rating of a bunch of critics. But again, like you said, that doesn't mean it's always accurate. I would give Marshall Mathers LP Eminem Show much higher than a 77, 78 out of 100. But anyways,
I'm looking.
Graduation's a phenomenal album. His next album, 808s and Heartbreaks, while it's not my personal favorite of his, still a super influential album. Chuck, you all right, man?
No! Metacritic is high!
I think they're spot on with this one, actually.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. But back to Kanye. 808s and Heartbreaks, while it's a little bit of a dip from his past 3 albums, still very good, 75 out of 100 grade, and it's super influential. You look back on a lot of this, Chuck, man.
You can't base this on Metacritic.
I can't keep the straight face here, dude.
They gave 808s and Heartbreaks a 75.
Yeah. What would you give that?
I would give it a 75.
I'd give it maybe a 75, but you can't say that's a 75 and Marshall Mathers LP2 is a 72.
That's funny that's the same.
They gave the Eminem Show a 75 as well.
Yo!
That would be your favorite album of all time, Chuck.
That's so. Oh no!
You can't look at Metacritic anymore, bro.
Oh no!
Chuck, I really didn't want to have to do this to you, man. But anyways, we haven't even reached the peak of Kanye yet. So
we haven't. We have.
After 808s and Heartbreaks, we hit My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which received a 94 out of 100 grade.
Overrated.
Perfect 10 out of 10 from Pitchfork. One of the greatest albums of all time on, according to a lot of people. The way that Kanye brings in so many different voices in a concise, just like glorious, ambitious album where he just brings in so many different genres, styles of music. His sampling is top notch. That was the epitome of Kanye. And then after that, again, it was kind of like that was his peak, and he dropped down a little bit, but still good albums. Yeezus from 2013, 84 out of 100.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Industrial Rap. I didn't like it as much as a lot of the critics did, but it was still good.
I think critics were a little high on it for like how like experimental it was and everything, but like I think to the average listener it wasn't as mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to The Life of Pablo, which got a 75. I would actually probably give it a little bit of a higher rating. I know it's disjointed. Yeah, but to me, The Life of Pablo is phenomenal. 30 Hours might very well be one of Kanye West's best songs. Again, it brings him back to like his stream.
No More Parties in LA.
No More Parties in LA is phenomenal. Waves is just like super chill. There's a ton of slappers on there. And then
Ultralight Beam,
of course. Yeah, great album. And then we have Ye. This is where Kanye starts to taper off. Ye was an all right album. It got a 64 out of 100. And then Jesus is King got a 53. I didn't really like Jesus is King. So I will admit, there's a decline there at the end. When you put out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 albums in a row that are all getting 75s and higher. You're doing something right, man.
What
And
about the next album? What about the
What'd you
next
say?
album what was the next album that Kanye
Jesus is King got a 53. But if you're 9 for 10, man, you're 90%. That's great. Free throw percentage, great batting percentage, great shooting percent, anything you want, man. That's phenomenal.
My thing is though,
Travis Scott may be more consistent in terms of he hasn't put out a project as bad as Jesus is King yet. He also hasn't put out as many projects as Kanye. And I would say there's probably 3, maybe 4 Kanye albums that I would put higher than,
That's
better
fair.
than Travis
That's
Scott's
fair.
best album. So that's why I think Kanye kind of overwhelmingly wins this one. When you think about a guy who's really revolutionized sampling in hip hop,
Charlie is so
phenomenal.
mad right now.
Kind of just embarrassed Eminem's clown ass in every fashion. But
Facts. He took a dump on his chest.
I'm heated. Oh my god!
I do want to say. I want to say one thing.
I'm looking at the user scores. Hold on.
I think we can all agree here, and I think the culture at large, like hip hop culture, music culture in large, if you pay any attention to hip hop, I think we can all say that Rodeo will go on to be a future classic if it's not already considered a classic.
I like Rodeo a lot, but Deem, I have a little surprise for you. Rodeo got a 64.
I know I have it up right here right now, but I do want to say, it has a 64 for
out of 100.
Yeah,
yes,
but it
same
but
grade
it's
as Encore, Chuck.
but its user score is 8.5. So
much higher.
I don't know about Metacritic on all these albums.
Metacritic is bugging.
Because I think Rodeo, that was a big thing about Rodeo, where initial reviews weren't, or initial reviewers weren't exactly high on the album, but I think it's aged really well, just in the general mind of the people, and I think it's highly debatable which you take, Astroworld or Rodeo, and over which one would be considered Travis Scott's best album. But the thing is, it's funny that those two are so highly debated, and where a lot of people will pick in between, and then Rodeo has a 64 on Metacritic and Astroworld has an 85. So you would think it's cut and dry, but it's really not. Both of those albums are really supreme pieces of work, and I don't really think there's, maybe you could call it a couple songs on each album as being below some others, but I think they're both really, really solid albums. Just the production is crazy good. Days Before Rodeo being an older mixtape, I can't find it on Metacritic, but the first site that I went to, it did have a really positive score. It's really varied, it's really rough, and it's really dark and ominous, and it takes a lot of inspiration from Kanye, because Travis is a protege of Kanye, and I think my thing is that Kanye, as he enters this Jesus is King era in his career, I think he will. I don't like the trajectory that he's on in terms of it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think
if we came back to this in 5 years, it may be a different story.
Yeah, my problem is I see a downward trajectory for Kanye, not as steep as Eminem's, but I see a downward trajectory. But with Travis, I'm really only seeing an upward one, to be honest. Bert, it was like Days Before Rodeo, and then you had Birds in the Trap, which was you had Birds in the Trap. It was it's pretty good, but it's kind of like that. And then you have Astroworld, which is another really high quality. And then I guess if you want to like put Jack Boys in there, but it's more of like a collection of hit songs.
Yeah, it's like an EP.
Yeah, it was but the thing, that had 4 or 5 songs that went extremely popular. I'm not saying it was an incredible body of work or anything, but you still did have some really great songs on there. Yeah, but I see only positives in Travis's future if he keeps going with where he goes. Eminem, I don't want to.
Chuck, I'm going to help you out here a little bit, okay? Eminem, on both the Eminem Show and the Marshall Mathers LP, the Slim Shady LP is not reviewed on Metacritic. In terms of user score.
Over 75, they got 9s.
Oh, gotcha. In terms of user scores, Chuck, Marshall Mathers LP, Eminem Show are both 9s. Kanye and Travis Scott do not have any album that gets higher than an 8.5. So
yeah.
But after those first few albums, after the Marshall Mathers LPs and after the Slim Shady LP,
take a dip.
If you want to put in,
it's like a roller coaster, bro.
If you want to put in Recovery, I don't think that's a really good album. I don't think Encore is a good
You
album.
don't have to.
I don't think Relapse.
Because Marshall Mathers LP comes next. Marshall Mathers LP.
It does matter. It does matter if you're talking about a discography, bro. Eminem has so much
but your
below
argument is that
average
all of
garbage
those
in his collection, bro. He's got Revival. Kamikaze was average at best. Music to be Murdered By is an upward trend. It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Encore, below average. Relapse, generally, it was okay. It wasn't really that great. It was okay. That's like 5 right there, bro.
You said 3.
Chuck, here's the thing about Eminem, man. He
What?
said himself last year, he's always been chasing the Marshall Mathers LP since the album was released. And the truth is, it's been...
He said that?
Yeah, he said that. It's been 19 years since he's had, like, a really good, great album.
His beard
He's had
is weird.
a bunch of stuff that's been, good, almost there. Marshall Mathers LP2, nice listen. But at the same time, he just hasn't been able to replicate the type of classic that he produced. I will give you, he may have the highest highs out of anyone on this list. Marshall Mathers LP1 and the Eminem Show could just be, like we saw with the user scores, the best albums here. But when you just combine, like, 8 albums after that some of them are good, Chuck. Some of them are nice listens, but none of them are exceptional.
They're nice listens. He's patronizing you, Charlie.
I know he's patronizing me.
I'm not, dog. I'm just being honest.
That's why I'm heated.
But just to reinforce it again for the people watching too, don't totally base your view of an album just off of like Metacritic and stuff. Cause we've seen similar sites where it's like, we've seen similar sites comparing different mediums like movies, like with Rotten Tomatoes. Come on, that site it's very similar to Metacritic. It was handing out like Rottens to like Shawshank Redemption when it came out and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you don't always want to trust it. Going out there, like going on social media and looking for credible people too on YouTube and stuff. And just forming your own opinion is really important, which is why Travis Scott I think is I think he's in the public opinion maybe nowadays I think he's a little more elevated than where Eminem is at just because of his current releases. With like by current I mean like
years of releases.
By current I mean like the past like 6 albums he's released.
Past 2 decades.
Like the past 2 decades. He was goated when he in like 1999 he was on top of the world, bro. But that was 1999, dog. You feel me? When did Eminem Show release? 2002?
2001, I think.
2001? Hey, he was still on top of the world.
No, it was 2002 because I think
he was riding high for like a good 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, man. I don't know. Charlie, do we have any defense for this?
Bro, y'all just came at me with a lot of stuff, man. All I got
I'm sorry,
to say,
dog, but nobody made you pick Eminem.
That's true.
No, I'm not. I understand that, man. And I don't want this to be like another fully Eminem video.
That's
we got a lot of those.
That's fair.
But I understand the arguments about how you can't rate the discography very high because of like the underperformers, obviously like Revival and Encore and Relapse, and I understand that.
Revival and Encore and Relapse and Recovery and get
this man out of here, bro. Well, all I got for you guys is that when Eminem had shit going on in his life, when he truly had a lot of stuff going on, he wrote songs about it, bro. And that speaks to me. Listening to every new album and him kind of giving us like an update on what's going on. Like, I just want to talk about one song off Music to Be Murdered By, one that really spoke to me on an emotional level. It was Leaving Heaven with Skylar Grey. Feature. And he's talking about how he's digging this hole and he's trying to like leave heaven and like go to hell. And we're all just trying to figure out like what's he doing down there. And then it's kind of like this reveal in the last verse that he wants to go and see his dad, but he doesn't want like an embrace. He wants to just like go tell him that he was horrible and that he hated him all his life, and especially like the
Chuck?
what? Did y'all
What?
freeze on me again?
Oh, I didn't. I was chilling.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lost you for a sec.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and especially like when he's just talking while Skylar Grey is singing the last few seconds of the album, when he's just like screaming about like how he hates you, F you, I want to spit on your grave, and all this stuff. And he's saying like, you know what, I thank you in the end because you weren't there, it made me the man I am.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of see that progression throughout his discography is kind of why I even chose Eminem for this video.
Okay.
Not exactly for the super highs, which you guys are talking about. You're talking about, you know, Travis having flawless albums. Yeah, Travis definitely has a very positive discography. Not a lot of debate that his albums are really solid. You talk about Kanye and all the different sounds that
Kanye is kind of untouchable, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Kanye is absolutely untouchable. There are a lot of albums where he's experimenting and it goes well. A lot of albums where he experimented doesn't go so well, but it still goes like well enough for being Kanye West. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Eminem, it's like he's kind of telling the story of his life, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I gravitate towards his discography more than anybody, because it's like he's a very real artist.
I feel that.
Never
Yeah,
been.
Chuck,
Never
when I listen to the Marshall Mathers LP, it's truly astonishing to just see like the pure rage and like raw emotion that he packs into that album. Like I don't think I'd ever listened to anything that just had so much pent up anger, you know,
Mhm.
and his ability to display that on his record. And like you said, just kind of like deal with what's going on in his life. It was truly mesmerizing on his first couple of albums.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's all I got, boys. Scotty, let's talk some more about Kanye.
All right.
Talk more about Kanye. You know, I do want to say, I think 808s is looked back on as like so. I think 808s is a little bit overhyped. You know,
I'm with you there.
not necessarily with you guys, but yeah, just with the general like culture again. I think 808s is only like so like widely like well regarded because like that is kind of the turn that rap took eventually, and people hailed Kanye as like, oh, like, you know, like he was ahead of the curve and he inspired a lot of these young ones. But I think as much as I give him a lot of credit for that, I think I don't know if like the auto-tune was really hitting with me on the album, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple songs, you
It
know,
was for a few songs.
like Heartless, you know, and that was also another time
Amazing.
that was a time in Kanye's life where
Amazing's a
he was
good one,
going.
Chuck.
Is a good one.
What?
The song "Amazing" on 808s.
Oh yeah. But that was like another time
Oh
where
boy,
like Kanye
did we
was
lose
going.
him again?
No,
Scotty, you're lagging,
I'm
bro.
getting him, Scotty.
We're
It's
just
just you, bro.
losing you, dog.
No, but
I
yeah,
don't know.
but I think that was a time.
Okay.
I think that was around the time that Kanye lost his mother, and that was a really hard time for him too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't really prop up 808s and Heartbreak as high as a lot of other people do. And Yeezus, I would generally consider those like dips in quality from his, not necessarily like in terms of like a creativity aspect, but I would consider it you know, not as highly polished, which he probably knew was going to happen going into the albums and everything. And I don't think he was going out to create critically acclaimed pieces. But, you know, I give him all the respect in the world for trying something different. I think Yeezus was definitely a lot less successful than 808s, in my opinion. I don't know. There are some good tracks on there, like Blood on the Leaves and stuff like that.
That song goes
There's
hard.
like two or three songs on Yeezus that are really good, and then the rest of them.
Black Skinhead.
Right.
Somebody.
Yeah. And then, you know, we don't have to talk about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That, you know,
Loaded.
album, that is too much. Yeah, that album's
Loaded.
goated.
You know, I think one of his albums that's really slept on though was Graduation. You know, because it followed College Dropout and Late Registration, which were phenomenal albums, classics. And
I think it was
Graduation
really hard to follow it up.
quite achieved that level. You know, I really loved the album. I thought songs like I Wonder is great. Stronger is obviously a huge hit.
Yeah.
Flashing Lights is a classic
That
Kanye song.
Nice.
Homecoming's catchy. Like, I don't know. I think the album, it's kind of like a step towards almost like pop rap for Kanye.
Yeah.
With the beats.
Definitely.
But I thought it worked out very well. Very concise and strong album for me.
Yeah. I do have to say though, I think Ye was a pretty considerable dip in quality. And I think I don't think it was horrible, but I think it was pretty average for Kanye. I don't think it was anything really revolutionary. There were a couple good tracks on there, like Ghost Town.
Which album? I lost it.
Yay.
Oh, Yay.
Couple, yeah, Ghost Town, and then we have Jesus is King.
God, my Wi-Fi is terrible.
That Jesus is King, not my thing. Yeah, the Chick-fil-A song. I wasn't messing with a lot of that album, and I don't like the.
Yeah, I did not like Jesus.
I don't like the warning signs of where it's headed. Not necessarily because he's like so
don't want him to
religious with it, because he's always been like spiritual in his music. With like Jesus Walks on his very first album.
Which is a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song, but it's not as preachy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. And the song like Sella on Jesus is King, bro. Thought I was listening to a sermon, bro.
Yeah.
I swear, bro. It's like the drums were coming in and Kanye was like preaching.
Yeah.
The hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Yeah. There were a couple good tracks in
What the
there.
heck is happening?
Anyways, boys, I think we got to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Good discussion. I think Kanye came out a little unscathed, but you can't really expect much better from one of the GOATs. But yeah. So viewers, in the comments, comment down below who you think has the best discography. Let us know your picks. Who has better discographies from the from outside of these three, even if you want to say that.
These two jumped down my throat this episode. You got to defend me in the comments, bro.
It was hard not to jump down Chuck's throat on Eminem, but we'll see you guys in the next podcast. This has been The Last Word.